Lamar Jackson is not just a quarterback. He's a phenomenon. With every game, he redefines what it means to be the leader of an NFL team, bringing unique energy and playing style that make everyone wonder. Is he the most revolutionary player in Ravens history? He's not just a hope for the long-awaited Super Bowl. He changed the Ravens game. But the real question is, how far can he go? What more does he still have to show? Stick with me until the end, because we're going to explore everything Lamar has already done and what he can achieve. And who knows, you might start to see how he could be the greatest name to ever wear the Ravens jersey. Go Ravens! Do you remember the 2018 draft? That day that defines the future of NFL franchises? Lamar Jackson was there, anxious, waiting for his name to be called. But the clock was ticking and the picks kept going by. He wasn't just any quarterback. He had won the Heisman Trophy, made spectacular plays, and carried Louisville on his back. But for many experts, that wasn't enough. They said he was a great athlete, but not a real quarterback. They questioned his passing accuracy, his throwing mechanics, and even suggested he should switch to wide receiver. Meanwhile, quarterbacks like Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, and Josh Rosen were quickly chosen. No team seemed willing to take a chance on Lamar. He watched, waiting, while the doors kept closing. Teams preferred more traditional quarterbacks, those who fit the old NFL mold. No one wanted to gamble on a player who challenged everything known about the position. And so, Lamar fell the final pick of the first round. That's when the Ravens stepped in. They already had a veteran quarterback, Joe Flacco, and could have easily ignored Lamar, just like the other teams did. But they saw something no one else did. In the final minutes of the first round, Baltimore made a trade with the Eagles and secured the 32nd pick to select Lamar Jackson. When he took the stage, still serious, barely smiling, his statement made it clear what was coming next. They're going to get a Super Bowl with me. Even after being selected, the doubts didn't stop. Many analysts said it would take years for him to become a starting quarterback. Others bet he would never become an elite passer. Even within the Ravens, the initial plan was to keep him on the bench, learn from Flacco, and maybe, in the future, take over the team. But that future came much sooner than anyone could have imagined. The start wasn't easy. In practice, Lamar showed flashes of brilliance, but also struggled with pass accuracy. The coaching staff began designing special plays to use him as a surprise weapon in some games. He'd come onto the field in certain formations, run a few plays, and then return to the bench. But deep down, everyone knew it was just a matter of time before he took full control. Then came the decisive moment. Flacco suffered an injury in the 2018 season, and the Ravens had no choice. It was Lamar's time. The team was in the middle of an inconsistent campaign and desperately needed a turnaround. With just a few practices as a starter, he stepped onto the field and changed everything. His presence brought a new energy, a different rhythm, and, above all, a hope that the Ravens hadn't felt in years. Lamar didn't just take over. He completely transformed the Ravens' offense. From that moment on, the team would never be the same. When Lamar Jackson took over the Ravens in 2018, no one knew exactly what to expect. He was a rookie, full of talent, but still surrounded by doubts. Joe Flacco, the veteran Super Bowl champion, was injured, and the Ravens' season was hanging by a thread. The team needed to react quickly to avoid missing the playoffs, and the solution was to make Lamar the starter. That's when everything changed. From the very first game, it was clear that Lamar would bring something completely new to Baltimore. With him, the offense gained speed, dynamism, and a style that no one could predict. The Ravens went from being a slow, predictable team to a running machine with a quarterback who seemed impossible to stop. Defenses tried to chase him, but he escaped. Blitzes were called to pressure him, but he found openings. The Ravens' running game exploded, and the team began stacking up wins. In 7 games as a starter, Lamar won 6. Not only did he save the Ravens' season, but he also took the team to the playoffs. Baltimore went from an inefficient offense to one of the most dangerous in the NFL. The offensive line loved playing with him. The running backs had more space to run, and the defense finally had an offense that could hold on to the ball and keep the team rested. It was a new way of playing, and the Ravens embraced this revolution. The game that confirmed the transformation came against the Chargers at the end of the regular season. Los Angeles had a strong defense and had frustrated several quarterbacks that season. But Lamar, with only a few weeks of experience as a starter, led a win that secured the Ravens a playoff spot. The team won the division, something that hadn't happened since 2012. More than that, it was clear that the Ravens had found their future. But despite the success, the postseason brought challenges. In the rematch with the Chargers, now in the playoffs, Lamar faced difficulties. The opponent's defensive plan was perfect, forcing him to throw the ball more than he was accustomed to. For almost 3 quarters, the Ravens' offense couldn't produce anything. The crowd grew impatient, and the criticism came back in full force. In the final period, Lamar tried to rally through 2 touchdowns and almost managed to turn the game around, but it was too late. The loss was a hard blow. After the game, analysts were quick to point out flaws. They said Lamar wouldn't be able to evolve as a passer, that the style of play wouldn't work in the playoffs, and that the Ravens needed a traditional quarterback to win. But within the franchise, no one doubted his talent. What happened in that game served as a lesson, not a verdict. And that lesson was taken seriously. The following year, Lamar Jackson didn't just evolve. He completely changed the NFL. And can you see the change Lamar Jackson brought to the Ravens style of play right when he arrived? Leave your comments if you also saw the impact of a young leader like him, or if you know any story of another player who transformed the team so quickly. Let's debate it in the comments. In 2019, Lamar Jackson made history in a way that few could have predicted. After an immediate impact in 2018, he returned with an even stronger, more mature, and above all, more confident season. The Ravens' offense was completely revamped to make the most of the skills, and the result was undeniable. One of the most impressive seasons in NFL history, and the MVP award for Lamar. What Lamar did in 2019 was nothing short of a revolution. He dominated defenses with both his arm and, of course, his legs. With a combination of accurate passes and explosive runs, he not only led the Ravens to a 14-2 record, but he also transformed the entire league's style of play. The Ravens' offense became a production machine, led by Lamar, who seemed unstoppable. He finished the season with over 3,100 passing yards and 1,200 rushing yards, an impressive feat for any quarterback. But what was most impressive wasn't just the statistics. It was the impact on the game. Defenses didn't know how to stop Lamar. When he decided to run, his changes of direction and speed were a nightmare for defenders. And when he threw the ball, his accuracy and timing always seemed flawless, defying those who said he couldn't pass efficiently. Lamar's passing game was constantly evolving, and he was becoming an increasingly lethal passer. Lamar's greatest asset, beyond his ability to make opposing defenses twist in frustration, was his leadership. He wasn't just the most talented player on the field, but also the one who kept the team together. His smart decisions and calm under pressure were remarkable. The team felt like they were always with someone who not only knew what he was doing, but was also capable of carrying the weight of the franchise on his shoulders. That confidence was evident with every victory. However, despite all the magic of the regular season, the story of 2019 didn't end with a Super Bowl. In the postseason, the Ravens were stunned by the Titans in a loss no one expected. The defeat was a cold shower, but also a valuable lesson. Criticism started to rise again, questioning whether Lamar could translate all that regular season success into the toughest and most important playoff games. Nonetheless, even with that playoff setback, Lamar Jackson solidified his place as one of the league's biggest stars. He not only silenced the critics, but also made history as the first quarterback in NFL history to win MVP with such a unique playing style. The impact he had in 2019 resonated throughout the league, and many began to imitate what the Ravens were doing with Lamar. His season was proof that the evolution of the game was underway, and Lamar was a key part of that transformation. Now, all eyes were on the future. What would Lamar do to improve even further and achieve what was still missing? If 2019 was a year Lamar Jackson silenced all the critics, 2020 was a year he began to silence the last doubts about his playing style. The main criticism against him had always been the same. He's not an elite passer. But Lamar was determined to change that, and he knew that to take the Ravens to the next level, he needed to evolve his passing ability. The pressure was on him, and he knew it. Lamar was already an impressive player with the ball in his hands. But his critics pointed to his passing mechanics and ability to read defenses as the biggest obstacles to his long-term success. In the 2020 season, he worked hard to correct these areas. Over the year, it became clear that he had become a more consistent and accurate passer. The number of missed passes decreased significantly, and his passing game became a more balanced threat alongside his running game. The main adjustment Lamar made was improving his ability to read defenses. He began to see plays more clearly and quickly, allowing him to make more decisive decisions and throw the ball more efficiently. His mechanics also underwent adjustments. He improved the accuracy of his passes, especially on shorter and intermediate routes, which had previously been his biggest weakness. With more control over his arm, Lamar made difficult throws with a confidence that critics never imagined. This work on his passing game had an immediate impact on the team's performance. Lamar was no longer just a threat as a runner. He was now seen as a complete weapon on offense. The opposing defense could no longer focus only on stopping him in the running game, because Lamar was also throwing dangerous passes. This dual threat made him one of the most difficult quarterbacks to face, as he demanded constant attention from all parts of the defense. Despite his evolution, some still insisted on doubting Lamar. In the 2020 playoffs, the Ravens faced the Titans, and once again, Lamar found himself under immense pressure. He had already proven to everyone during the regular season that his passing ability was at a high level, but something was still missing. He needed to prove he could do what many doubted: lead the Ravens to a playoff victory, especially in crucial moments. However, Lamar didn't waver. During the win against the Titans in the playoffs, he finally delivered a definitive answer. His performance as a passer was incredible, and he demonstrated full control of the game. The way he handled the pressure, with accurate passes and improvised escapes, proved that he was more than ready for any challenge. Not only had he become a much better passer, but he had also done the impossible. He took the Ravens back to the playoffs and secured a crucial victory. Now, the question was, how would Lamar continue to improve his game and elevate the Ravens even further, especially in playoff games? Well, we're heading into the fifth topic now, but before we continue, I noticed you haven't left a like on this video yet. It's really important for YouTube to keep promoting my content to you, and this way, I'll keep bringing you the best content about the Baltimore Ravens. So, go ahead and leave a like on this video. It's free. Thanks. Let's continue. Despite all his growth and impressive achievements, Lamar Jackson still faced a persistent obstacle: the playoffs. Although he dominated the regular season in 2019 and 2020, something seemed to go wrong when the team reached the postseason. The wins and records in the regular season were exciting, but the reality of the playoffs was much different. Each game was more intense, more tense, and the expectations were even higher. Lamar knew this better than anyone. In 2019, the Ravens made it to the playoffs with the best record in the league. The team was unstoppable, and all eyes were on Lamar, the MVP of the season. But against the Titans, the unexpected happened. The loss was bitter, and many began to question if Lamar truly had what it took to lead a team in crucial games. Lamar's performance in that game drew criticism, with some pointing to the pressure and lack of experience in elimination games as key factors. What had once seemed like an unbeatable journey of victories turned into a massive blow to his career. However, Lamar didn't let himself be shaken. In 2020, history repeated itself, but this time he was more prepared. He knew he needed to evolve, especially mentally, to overcome the obstacles that arose in the playoffs. When the Ravens faced the Titans again, Lamar showed remarkable maturity. Not only did he handle the pressure of a playoff game, but he also showed that his style of play, while challenging for defenses, was a powerful weapon in the most difficult situations. It was in that game that he silenced even more critics, leading his team to a historic win, his first playoff victory as a starter. Despite the win, the criticisms continued. Many said that, although he was brilliant in the regular season, Lamar still needed to prove that he could lead the Ravens to the Super Bowl. What seemed to be a technical or tactical obstacle turned into a psychological challenge. Lamar knew that, to be remembered as one of the best quarterbacks in history, He needed to win in the most decisive moments. The pressure was on him, and he had to show that he was capable of handling it, something he had yet to do consistently in the playoffs. The truth is that the playoffs bring a level of pressure that changes everything. Even for elite quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady, the postseason represents a new type of battle. But Lamar was on a journey to prove that his ability wasn't limited to the regular season. He had already shown that he was unbeatable with the Ravens throughout the year, but the big question was, could he translate all that talent into victories in the most important moments? Lamar Jackson still had a long road ahead, but with each season, he was learning to better handle the postseason challenges, adjusting his mindset and his game. The pressure in the playoffs would never go away, but he was preparing for it. Fans knew that Lamar's journey was far from over, and if anyone had the ability to overcome the postseason challenges, it was him. With the weight of the playoffs on his shoulders, Lamar's next step was clear. Continue evolving to turn his talent into lasting accomplishments, challenging everything that still stood in his way. As Lamar Jackson continued to grow as a player, the future of the Ravens began to be shaped around him. Lamar's impact was already undeniable. But to take the Ravens to an even higher level, the franchise needed to make significant adjustments, especially around their young quarterback. While Lamar was the heart and soul of the team, the structure around him also needed to evolve. Like any great franchise, maintaining a balance between individual talent and collective strength would be key to long-term success. First and foremost, the team needed to reinforce its passing game. Lamar was already showing tremendous potential as a passer, but his greatest success would come when the Ravens could balance their threats in both the running and passing games. This meant not only relying on Lamar to carry the bulk of the offensive load, but also ensuring that he had reliable targets and an offensive line capable of giving him the necessary time to make plays. The addition of more quality receivers and increased depth on the offensive line would be crucial for making the offense more unpredictable and dynamic. Additionally, it was clear that Lamar needed an offensive system that adapted to his strengths. The Ravens' philosophy had always been centered around the running game, but Lamar's future required the team to expand and become more versatile. This meant relying more on the pass in crucial situations and exploring the passing game more aggressively. The work of the offensive coordinator and the ability to create balanced plays would be essential to maximize Lamar's skills and take the offense to new heights. Another important aspect was building a defense capable of sustaining Lamar's victories. While Baltimore's offense was one of the most dynamic in the league, the defense needed to continue evolving to ensure that the team didn't rely solely on Lamar's ability to control the game. Investing in key defensive players, such as pass rushers and linebackers, would be essential to ensure the Ravens not only scored points, but also stopped opponents in critical moments. A strong defense would allow Lamar and the offense to play with more ease, with less pressure to score on every possession. And equally important, Lamar needed to surround himself with leaders who shared the same vision. While he was already a natural leader with an unquestionable work ethic, the team culture would have to reflect this spirit. For the Ravens to win more titles and take Lamar to the Super Bowl, the team would need to be in sync, with every player willing to fight for the collective success. Building a cohesive and dedicated group alongside Lamar will be the foundation for Baltimore's future. The pressure on Lamar to be the face of the franchise was clear, but he didn't seem to let it consume him. Each season, he proved to be more than just a talented quarterback. He became the leader the Ravens needed. The remaining question was, what more would be necessary for Lamar to take the Ravens to the top? The future seemed bright, but the right adjustments needed to be made to ensure he had the support required. The success of the Ravens in the future would depend on the ability to mold a team that maximized Lamar's talent, creating an environment where every piece of the puzzle fit perfectly to achieve the ultimate goal. And if you made it this far, drop Lamar Jackson MVP absolutely the NFL in the comments, so I know you value the legacy he has built with the Ravens and the NFL. Let's continue. Lamar Jackson has already proven to be a force to be reckoned with in the NFL. He's broken records, won an MVP, and turned the Ravens into one of the most exciting teams to watch. But despite all his talent, the big question that still hangs over Lamar is whether he can, in fact, take the Ravens to the Super Bowl. It's a question that resurfaces every season and, for many, still lacks a definitive answer. However, One thing is clear. To solidify his legacy, Lamar needs to take the final step, and that step is winning the most coveted title in American football. While his skill with the ball is unquestionable, the key to success in the Super Bowl goes beyond individual talent. Lamar will need to continue developing as a passer, further improve his decision-making under pressure, and handle the adversities that the playoffs bring. What he has shown so far is that his leadership ability is solid, but the playoff stage is different. He knows that to win a title, he will need to win in crucial moments against the best teams and under the highest pressure possible. Moreover, the Ravens need to continue strengthening the team around Lamar. A strong defense that can keep opponents under control is just as important as the effectiveness of the offense. To reach the Super Bowl, the Ravens need a balanced team that can function in harmony with Lamar. The offense, led by him, must be in constant evolution, but should also be complemented by a defense that prevents opponents from turning the game around in critical moments. The passing game will also be a determining factor. Although Lamar's style is dynamic and unpredictable, he needs reliable targets and an offensive line that provides enough protection for him to execute his plays. Ongoing improvements to the receiver group and the Ravens' offensive system are necessary for Lamar to have the tools to break defenses in high-level games. As much as Lamar has shown how difficult he is to defend in any circumstance, his performance in pressure moments will be what truly defines his future. He needs to stay healthy, continue adapting, and, above all, learn from the losses, because the road to the Super Bowl is not simple. Every failure offers an opportunity for growth, and it's this mindset that will help him overcome the barriers still between him and the title. Looking at the great quarterbacks in history, they all have something in common. They weren't just incredibly talented, but they stood out in decisive games, in the most important moments. Lamar has the potential to be remembered alongside these giants. But for that to happen, he will need to win the Super Bowl. Only then can he solidify his place as one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. The only thing left now is to turn that potential into a victory on the biggest stage of all. Now, with everything we've discussed, it's clear Lamar Jackson is not just one of the greatest talents in Ravens history. He is shaping the future of the franchise. His ability to transform the offense and his impact on the team go far beyond any statistic. He's a true revolutionary. For the Ravens, he's not just a quarterback. He is the face of the future, the key to even greater achievements. The real question is, will he be able to take Baltimore to the Super Bowl and secure his legacy once and for all? Share your thoughts in the comments.
And if you, just like me, are passionate about the world of football and want to learn more about the Ravens' legacy, don't leave this video without sharing it with that friend who is also a Baltimore Ravens fan and will love this content. See those video suggestions on your screen? The first one was handpicked just for you, and the other is a recommendation from YouTube itself. See you there, and until the next video, go Flock.